Hi guys, so Boris Johnson attempted to use vegetarianism, I think, as a response to a question on Brexit. Yes, it's that weird. So the Prime Minister was speaking to a journalist from Times Radio, where he was challenged on how the current shortages are not being fixed. His government is doing nothing, it seems. The journalist raised the issue of pig farming and how, due to the lack of butchers and other staff to either deliver the pigs to slaughter or process them, is resulting in farmers killing their own pigs and having the carcasses destroyed. Let's hear what Boris Johnson had to say about that.
Related to the cost of living crisis, of course, is this supply crisis that's going on. You've done quite a rare thing. I don't know if you've been outside the bubble. You managed to unite pig farmers with socialist workers, because they're all out there having a shout at you now. Of course, business have a role. They need to pay people more. I'm sure they'd like to. But could you really not have done just a bit more yourself as the government to stop this supply chain, to stop this labour shortage crisis? Because that's what they're angry about. They want to do their bit, but they've seen nothing from the government to help them.
This country has a fantastic logistics and supply industry, and
Okay, but if it was fantastic, it wouldn't have collapsed. The whole reason we're talking about this is because it has collapsed. You can say it's great, but it's not able to function because it needs staff. And you have put barriers in place. Now, of course, the Tories will say businesses need to sort this problem out themselves, but the government control who comes into the country. So it's the government who have to fix this problem.
I was on the BBC the other day with a guy who was complaining that the pigs were going to be slaughtered. He said 100,000 pigs are going to die. And I was under the unhappy duty of pointing out to him that that is what happens to pigs in this country.
Yeah, but they're not culled. 120,000 pigs aren't culled and burnt. You didn't seem to care about that.
He didn't seem to be aware of that. Well, I'm afraid they're eaten very often in this country. I don't know. Right. Do you have a bacon sandwich?
So you're not backing down of offending every pig farmer in the country, then?
You know, that is what happens. Now, pig farmers in my family used to farm pigs, as it happens. Have an extreme.
Did you ever cull them?
Look, I'm just telling you. I'm going to break it to you, Tom. That if you have a bacon sandwich, have you ever had a bacon sandwich?
We're going to get into Ed Miliband territory.
No, don't dodge it. Have you ever had a bacon sandwich?
I want to ask you two questions. I want to ask you two questions, Prime Minister. Two short-fire questions, easy things to do.
How many bacon sandwiches have you had?
Multiple. If you want to do something to help,
those pigs, when you ate them, were not alive.
You made that point. You made that point.
Okay. What Boris Johnson, well, of course, Boris Johnson probably eats bacon sandwiches himself. I don't think he's vegetarian. But that's not the point he's raising here. What normally happens is the farmers grow the pigs, they feed the pigs get bigger, and then they're sent off to be slaughtered. And the pig farmers receive the money for that operation, for that whole life cycle. What's happening instead is that the pigs are not being sent off to slaughter. The farmers have to destroy the pigs themselves, so they're not getting paid. Do you understand the difference there, Boris Johnson? In one scenario, they're getting paid. In the other scenario, they're not getting paid, or they're getting paid much less because the carcasses are being sent off and destroyed for another purpose, normally fed into pet food or something like that. They're not sold off to make bacon sandwiches. They're not sold off to make ham, which is a higher level of product. So they get more money from that. That's what they're complaining about. They don't have access to staff. Why don't they have access to staff? Because your government decided we don't want freedom of movement anymore. What Boris Johnson is he's trying to play some sort of game here by claiming that, well, if you eat bacon sandwiches, and look, let me be clear here, I'm vegetarian, I don't eat bacon sandwiches, but if Boris Johnson is trying to play the game that, well, if you eat bacon sandwiches, you have nothing to complain about, there's a difference between pigs being sent to slaughter to make money and pigs being sent to be incinerated where there is no return or very little return on investment. But Boris Johnson doesn't care about that because either he doesn't understand it or he really just doesn't care. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.